Okay. Yes, everyone. This is your soul brother, Talib, coming back at you. As you know, I am the co-host of Operation Exodus Mississippi with our number one soul brother, Angel Snup Snup 7, and our other associate, soul sister, Noble Levine. Uh, well, I must get started with this video because this topic is which because I'm not gonna be on here longer, but this topic is concerning the state of Nebraska, and I've been figuring how to title the video, because of many implications of what I want to talk about. Just summarily in this video concerning why it's not safe for blacks here in Nebraska. And you know, um, as I've been here for almost the last 7 years, in this state, as far as me trying to work on, bettering myself and reflecting on myself and bettering myself and my own personal life quality, things have still been on a rocky road when it comes to social uh, immersement with people here, especially with the majority who is Caucasian in this state, and also in the state which is 1% black. Okay, and also because this state is 1% indigenous black American, of course, it is definitely factual, even according to their statistics and factual, that it is more indigenous black Americans getting incarcerated here in Nebraska when we're just 1% here in this state. Now, they say we're 13% in this country, but we're 1% here in the state of Nebraska, okay? And yet, it's more of us getting incarcerated here. And of course, there's definitely something wrong with that picture. And of course, not to add, to add on that most of the crimes that are committed here is by the racial majority, of course, which is who are Caucasians. You see what I'm saying? And they're not going to post or put their, criminal element or behavior out into the light because wherever they can find an opportunity to minimize that, they will, and just put black criminals or black so-called criminals or offenders out in the front to say, well, when it comes to crime in our state, here's the poster child, of course, like they do in most every other states in the 50 union states of this country, okay? But like I said, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, um, you know, it is not safe for black people here in Nebraska. And of course, when I first came here, like I said, 7 years ago, someone actually informed me that according to a survey in Forbes magazine, which is one of the most prestigious known magazine publications in this nation, it was supposed to state it that there was in the top five across the United States that Omaha, Nebraska is the most hardest place for African Americans to live at. And with that said, because that is the biggest city in Nebraska, and it is also where most of your indigenous black Americans are here in Nebraska, outside of here in Lincoln, which has, even though a lesser population of black people, but you know, all put together here in Omaha has the most black people you will find throughout the entire state of Nebraska. And, you know, I looking at this situation, and over the few years I've been here and seeing what's going on with the outright racism, the covert racism as well, when it comes to discrimination and housing, I would assume, and when it comes to discrimination on the jobs and all that, that definitely plays a big part in this situation because I was even told where, from local black people living here in this area that a lot of black people have to change jobs constantly all the time because of discrimination on whatever work employment, you know, and whatever work employment occupation they work in, they have to switch jobs, you know what I'm saying, because of constant racism and discrimination. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, uh also, black people here, and I would assume especially here in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is the state capital, get frowned on more openly by Caucasians here. And Caucasians here are more emboldened, as I would assume, than they are in Omaha because Omaha has more blacks. And from my understanding, the blacks in Omaha do not too much tolerate the open racism or the racial slurs or whatever that Caucasians, you know, say out their mouth because they feel like they can whenever they get ready. And I've actually seen white people from Omaha who have migrated an hour away right over here to Lincoln say that's the reason basically why they left Lincoln, you know, because, I mean, left Omaha because of racial conflict. And it's like, so they come here and they are openly able to be more emboldened with their racism, especially when it comes to black Americans here or or other people here that's not Caucasian, but particularly black Americans, of course, and I say that they're more out front with it, and I found that out quick when I first got here a few years ago, especially when I was walking up a dark street, that was getting darker one night, and I was on my way back to where I was staying at when I first moved here, and I was approached, as I discussed in another panel or solo video one time, that some Caucasians approached me while they was in the vehicle and used the word nigger and threatened to lynch me and this and that and all that other crazy stuff. So I witnessed it firsthand when I got here. And you know, since then I've become more unembracive and unengageable with them because of their mentality here. And especially because of the fact that we are still coming out of the Trump era. And because we have entered into the so called post Trump era, they still exert that mentality here because he has, of course, a big, large supporter base here in this state as well, which is the only reason why the only places that voted majority for Biden to become president was here in Lincoln and Omaha. You see what I'm saying? Because those two districts there, here in this state, has the most populated, you know, blacks than anywhere, like I said, here in Nebraska. And so but still, like I said though, they have a very you know emboldened sentiment sentiment about themselves. And I even saw that when I traveled further out west of Lincoln, a couple years back, when I used to go to places like Grand Island, which is typically considered as the third largest city in Nebraska, behind here in Lincoln and Omaha, which is number one as being the largest city in the state of Nebraska. And you know, uh, I saw definitely the more emboldened attitude of racism among the white people or the Caucasian people in that smaller city. And I went to other places like Kearney, Nebraska, where you know, if I was there by myself every day, I probably would get all kind of crazy looks, and probably that sundown mentality, like you better be gone by night, boy. You know, and those are type of cities that still exist here as well in Nebraska, west of Lincoln, as well as north of Lincoln and south of Lincoln, throughout the most part of the state of Nebraska. And so, I mean, we have to understand and realize, being here in Omaha as indigenous black Americans, and even whether we were born here or whether we came here from other states as migrants or whatever, or even if we came here from other states as transients, which some of us, I notice, have been referred to over the years as here in Lincoln, like in most places when you just passing through a city, but you're not here long, and then you're gone, and all that type of stuff. But anyway, you know, I could have became one of them transients, but I chose, like I said, to go on ahead and move on with going in a more positive direction with my life, and this is why I've been here longer as I have. But however, that's about to end soon. However, which is another topic for another time, and I believe I've discussed that in other videos on my channel, as you know, called Eric Bell, and also too, I, you know what I'm saying, have come to the point that I just want to reach out and let the audience know on my page platform, as well as throughout the rest of social media, typically black American social media and black YouTube, that if you want to relocate somewhere, especially out here further west to the Midwest, further out, further out Midwest, like here in Nebraska, you that would that wouldn't be a good idea. I mean, you grown, you do what you want to do, and it's your right to travel, go live anywhere you want to go live in the United States. But however, I'm just warning you, something that the NAACP should have warned you, that Nebraska is not a state to freely come to unless you come in here at your own risk. Just like the NAACP put out a few years ago a memorandum about the state of Missouri, that if you're traveling through Missouri, you're traveling black through Missouri, you're traveling at your own risk. Well, I must say that the same thing could definitely apply to here in Nebraska, because Nebraska has a way smaller population, like I mentioned earlier, than the state of Missouri do. And I've been around several cities throughout the state of Missouri. You want me to name them? St. Louis, Kansas City, Springfield, Joplin, you know. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's basically, practically almost throughout the whole state. And yes, Missouri ain't no easy cakewalk, you know, when it come to blacks either, okay? But also, Nebraska is not, you know, and the NWACP should have done their research or gotten together somehow and listed Nebraska. Not only Missouri, but places like here in Nebraska and Kansas and South Dakota and North Dakota. You know what I'm saying? Do I need to go on with the list? You should have listed them states as traveling at your own risk while being black, like now in 2021. Because I used to hear, you know what I'm saying, bus drivers who've actually been on the road driving trucks, like our brother Angel Snuff Snuff 7 of Operation Exodus, Mississippi, you know, drive trucks cross country, you know. And they've told me stories like whenever they laid over at a truck stop somewhere in North Dakota, you know, they was addressed by the boy word or something, or possibly even worse. You know what I'm saying? And like, boy, when you gonna leave up out of here? You know, and this and that. As a matter of fact, few years ago, I heard about one of them towns. Matter of fact, somewhere in this part of the country, further south, I was assumed like Oklahoma or around Arkansas, somewhere like that. I think they spoke about called the Ozarks. Well, I lived in that area years ago, like in Fayetteville, Arkansas, between there and Fort Smith, Arkansas, which was right across from Oklahoma, you know. Uh, and you know, up in that part of the country, they said that this particular soul brother, while his truck was laid over and he was waiting to pick up a load, he had to actually go spend a night in the jail, in the local jail in that town, because he was the only black person there. So what I'm saying is that, you know, you actually have towns like this between states like here in Nebraska, you know, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, you know, places like that, you know, where you have to really, you know what I'm saying, actually watch yourself, even while you're traveling, while you're working as a truck driver on the road, you know, driving trucks. And that's sad. But that's the reality of what it is to be black in America. And you know, Elijah Muhammad told us this decades ago, that don't think that because you could go anywhere in the United States that you gonna simply just be free to go anywhere in the United States and ain't gonna get that type of opposition brought to you. I mean, here's this man, he warned us about this over 50 years ago. And it's still going on today. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I mean, it's like, when are you going to get the memo that you're not accepted as an indigenous black American, especially in these type of particular parts of the United States? Now, yes, like myself and like others who made irrational choices to want to migrate to states like this, you know what I'm saying? We're entitled to a mistake like anybody else. But however, long as we learned, like myself, and we making it through this time, living in a state like this, then, and being able to get through it in one whole piece as we came, you know, hey, that's why I'm here to advise other indigenous black Americans that even if you're going to travel through these states, especially on the highway, be careful of how you move. Be careful. A matter of fact, the Greyhound bus don't even come through Nebraska no more. Like it don't come through certain other states, far as here in the northwest, further northwest. And that's for a reason. That is for a reason. That is definitely for a reason. This is one state that the Greyhound bus do not come through here. And of course, Omaha had the biggest Greyhound bus depot, which is named something else now. It's called Jefferson Trailways, like the local one here in Lincoln is. But however, they changed it from Greyhound to that for a reason. And for Greyhound, like I say, a prominent known charter bus service that gets people from one part of the country to another, and they don't even come through Nebraska, that says a whole lot. And Greyhound has been around for who knows how long, and for them to have stopped abruptly from coming through here in Nebraska says a whole lot. So it's something about that definitely opens up more doors for questions, and the fact that, it's serious here. And I'm telling you, if you're going to travel through a state like this, being black, especially indigenous, as an indigenous black American, you better be on your guards at all times. And if you coming through here on some type of criminal element stuff, hey, like Mr. T once said, I pity the fool. you know, because that definitely is going to give these Caucasians the justification to really do you in like they want to do you in anyhow. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely wouldn't suggest that you even come through the state of Nebraska or to the state of Nebraska on any type of form of criminal element, period. you know, because I'm telling you, I've seen other people with soul, brothers and sisters come through here from other cities or even from out of state and end up trapped up where they are in the system right now. Matter of fact, in the local prison they got right here in Lincoln called NSP, Nebraska State Penitentiary. And they do got one in Omaha as well. And also a couple here and there spread it out in different parts of the state. But you know, they they got a place for you here and they ain't playing with you. Just like they got a place for you anywhere else. But they not playing with you here. Soon as you come off a highway 2, they got Nebraska State Penitentiary sitting right there, letting you know, hey, if you F up, this is where you coming. Especially if the feds don't get a hold of you first. This is where you coming. So, this is no game here. This is definitely no game here. I tell you, this is nothing to play with here. When you're black, you got to really walk on pins and needles. And long as I've been aware of where I stand at as an indigenous black American who's a descendant of slaves born here in America, I still sort of have to find myself walking on pins and needles unnecessarily because of my skin color, especially being in a place like this. And there's been questions over the years brought to me, even by those that I locally knew, like in places where I came from back east, that would ask me, what brought you here? Some have even said, and never been here a day in their life, that I wouldn't make it there. Cause I have to do something to one of these races. So it take a certain kind of indigenous black American to be able to deal with something like this. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that you know, and it don't necessarily mean you a punk or Uncle Tom or sellout or something, but you have to use your brain when you dealing with the majority racial population that's here. You got to know how to navigate, even to get around they BS. I mean, it's just simple as that, you know. But like I said, you know, there have been people who have asked me even up to now, how could you have dealt with that for even long as I have? And as they say in so-called religion, that's a testament in itself that if I could deal with this type of stuff, you know, and I'm not saying this to be braggadocious or nothing like that, or being bragful, because this is nothing to be bragful about. Being in a situation like this, being black in America, especially, you know. But I say that you know, the situation is that, you know, you got to know how to will and deal. If you don't want to end up going to your early grave or end up in a prison system here, you got to know how to will and deal. It's just that simple, you know. And it ain't no, like I say, it's not no game. You know, it's really not no game. It's nothing to play with here. You know, this is an anti-black state for real. And they the reason and it's to this very day it irks me to why they don't talk about that, like they talk about states like Missouri, Arkansas, Georgia, Alabama, you know. Even they talk about Oklahoma on that level more than they do here, and we right up the road from Oklahoma, right in the middle of the country. You see what I'm saying? You know. But this is one state that you do not want to come to or pass through, being black in America. Now, if you go to Omaha, that's a little different. That's a little different. Okay. And it's a very racially segregated city, from my understanding. And as well as it's stated that it has been for years. Okay. But you might stand a chance of standing on your leg longer in Omaha than you would anywhere else in the state of Nebraska. But of course, you may ask me, why didn't I choose Omaha? Well, it was reasons why I didn't choose Omaha, but that still don't mean that the facts are the facts when it comes to what I'm saying about Omaha either, you know. But however, you know, my thing is this, is that, you know, yes, we have the right to travel anywhere we want to travel, okay, but we also have to have knowledge of where we're at. We have to have knowledge about the place of where we at. And unfortunately, I did not do my thorough research about Nebraska before I came back through this way, period. You see what I'm saying? So that's another thing too, you know, and that's why I say you have to be more careful in researching, while researching, when you go into different places, before you even make a move and go to them certain places. You know what I'm saying? And that's just as simple as that. And I don't care what nobody say. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's still here in this part of the country. It's still like it was when you had traveling guides during segregation, especially if you went traveling through certain parts of the South while being black. That's how it is in this area. It's like that all over the country, but that's definitely how it is in this area. Okay. And yes, I've been to places like California, Oregon, the state of Washington. But in these type of places here, you have to work. You have to be consciously, really on your toes. Because it's almost like you are in the South. I mean, the type of white people you got here, a lot of them came straight out the South, like Texas, other southern states right down the road from here, like Arkansas. That's where you get most of those southern type of white folks from. And that's why they're so spread it out like they are today here in Nebraska. And with the mentality that they still maintain, especially even on the so-called white supremacist level. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you have that, you have that element here, you know, and I mean, you cannot be, you know what I'm saying, unaware of that, especially if you're talking about traveling to a place like here, you know, and that's why, I say, and I repeat again, that the NWACP should have put that out in a memorandum when they even said that about Missouri. But I tell you, and I have to be honest, in my own personal, uh, you know, encounters as far as traveling to other different states and even living in other different states in this country as a black American, I have to say that I felt more, you know, less tense when I was in Missouri. And, in places like Joplin, Springfield, which was known historically, more probably than here in Nebraska, anywhere in Nebraska, but which was known historically for lynching blacks, like in the early 1900s, stuff like that, in which they did lynch black people earlier in the 20th century in Omaha and places, I'm sure outside of Omaha here in Nebraska as well. But you know, uh, Missouri has a very more entailed known history for that. And of course, Missouri also was a Confederate state as well as a slave holding state too. So, you know, you, I mean, all that definitely plays into that aspect of what I'm saying as far as Missouri is concerned. But I have to also say too that you know, I still felt uneasy. I mean, in a less tense situation, and I guess it's because I was in places like Kansas City or something like that where it was more blacks at, like it is even in St. Louis, of course. So I felt less tense. I didn't feel, even when I would frequent places in Kansas City, you know, uh, that you would feel that historical sense of segregation, you know, because Kansas City was known as a place for jazz during the time of segregation, and the old neighborhoods I stayed there in was being residentially reserved for famous people like Louis Armstrong at the time when he was living there, because of the fact that jazz was one of the most biggest known hubs, far as Kansas City, outside of New Orleans, So I mean, at that time, I would say that you know I still felt less tension because it was more of me there. You see, and so I guess if I'd have maybe went in places, stayed in places like Springfield or even Joplin longer, yeah, that'd have been quite a different story, and which also justifies why the NWACP put out the memorandum they did a few years ago about traveling through Missouri. But I say still again that they should have put out a memorandum as far as traveling through all these deeper Midwest states, like I mentioned, like Kansas City, Oklahoma. I mean, Kansas, Oklahoma, which is south of here, and stuff like that. They should have definitely mentioned those places too, because I mean, I mean, just traveling and going anywhere in this country being black, especially with the fact that we getting stopped so constantly by the police, more so than any other nationality that do get stopped by the police, we might find ourselves in a real dangerous situation and never heard from again. And they probably have killed some blacks and swept it up under the rug where the media couldn't even get access to what the situation was. You see what I'm saying? And Nebraska is one of those type of states, for sure. And I was personally and directly told that since I've been here. That if a black person get killed by the police here, it's usually swept under the rug. Or and it was a shooting of a black person, and I'm not gonna go into all the details because it's not necessary in this video. But the situation, and nor the situation that surrounded the shooting. But, however, it wasn't reported in the national news, is what I'm saying. And any other type of racial, once in a while, something that it might leak out nationally, far as happening here in Nebraska. Like when a black American college student who attended the University of Nebraska, that's based right here in Lincoln, was getting threatening emails, threatening texts sent to him, uh, being called the word nigger and all that, and being threatened because I guess he was speaking out against discrimination on the college campus, which has been known to go on for years, and stuff like that. And he got all kind of threats coming at him and stuff like that. And that went national. And I'm pretty sure it might have been because he was a university college student. More than likely if he was there not on this collegiate scholarship, but other than that, if you're not you know what I'm saying, if you're not a typical black person that's going to college or in a high professional position or something, basically you just a nigger. So whatever happened to you here on that note, far as racism or whatever, it's just what it is. And even those of you who live here in Nebraska, and even if you live right here in Lincoln, if you watching this, when you watch this video, if you do watch this video, you know you can't defend against that. Even if you try to defend against that fact, it's fruitless. It's a fruitless point because that's the reality of being black while here in Nebraska or living here in Nebraska. And I must say that the the national media needs to get more access to what's going on in this state because it's been quite a bit of stuff that's happened over the years in this state. If and I'm gonna tell you something like that. A young brother, last year, James Scarlock, who was killed by a former white bartender owner in Omaha during the George Floyd protests over the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That wouldn't have leaked out had it not been doing had they not been protesting because the brother that got killed was a protester in those Black Lives Matter movement George Floyd protests. So had it not been that situation, I don't even think that murder of that brother would have leaked out nationally. I seriously don't. Because I even heard about it here in Lincoln. And even too many people didn't know about it right here in the state capital of Lincoln. Until I found out personally by someone that was a part of the George Floyd protests. You know what I'm saying? And to this day, speaking on that, that young brother's family still has not gotten any justice. Of course, because the racist alleged killer committed suicide while he was getting ready to face his day in court over killing this young brother. I guess he sought to end it quicker by just committing suicide, like most of them do, being the cowards they are. So you know how that go. But like I said before, and it's even funny because at first they wasn't even finna prosecute that case until they had to get a special attorney general to make way to prosecute that case. That's even the crazy part about it. So I mean, it's like you know, this is what we dealing with here in the state of Nebraska, like in most places around the United States when it comes to the injustices in the so-called criminal justice system of this country when it concerns us as indigenous black Americans. But I have to also say that as well that you know what we're dealing with here is a sure indication and which gives much justification if organizations like the NAACP would start labeling states unsafe to travel through while being black, as well as they labeled Missouri as in a memorandum they put out, like I said, a few years ago. And I'm going to repeat this again, this time directly to the NAACP. If you're going to put out memorandums about certain states not being safe to travel through while being black, you need to include Nebraska. That's all I'm saying as well. You need to include Nebraska. You need to, if you even got to do more research, you need to include Nebraska. It's just that simple, and because this is serious, and we can't let our guards down. Now that we so-called supposed to be in the post-Trump age, because ain't nothing changing under this current president that's in there. I mean, and knowing his history, even with black people in politics, when he signed that 1994 Crime Reform Act bill under the Bill Clinton administration, which still affects many lives today, black and brown, and especially black, you know, all throughout this country, has destroyed many black lives and as well as black families to this very day. And he still don't want to be held accountable for that, and ain't gonna be held accountable for that. And then you get these, and I mean it's just crazy, you know. And yes, he is a racist, but he is a different type of racist that's smarter, a little smarter than your last president we just had. Okay, that's the only difference. But this is what we dealing with. You know what I'm saying? In spite of whatever he's doing now, in that's in the favor of the people, far as dealing with this thing with COVID and all this other stuff. That's another thing in itself too. But however, hey, the truth got to, just take its course where it lies in. Because at the end of the day, we ain't safe nowhere in this country. This is why the Operation Exodus Mississippi platform and campaign is so important. Okay? And I tell you, when blacks ready to get tired of the BS, and we'll have a place like Mississippi to go to, whether we here in Nebraska, California, New York, Maryland, then that'll be an open new reality for us. You see what I'm saying? Toward becoming a truly free people in this country, if that's to ever happen. But toward to becoming a true free people in this country for once and for all. But like I said before, we have to understand and recognize that we are you know what I'm saying, under siege. And, and personally, and basically, even, I'm going to tell you something. Even when I got to walk out the door every day, I got to have my guards up. And I never felt like this constantly, living anywhere else in the United States, not even in the South, you know. And like I said, this is the reason why I'm leaving soon. Once that time come, I'm out of here. And never will I turn back, nor, and I will continue to also advise other black Americans, if I can help, not to come to this state. You know what I'm saying? Because this is definitely not no. And if you got any questions, you could chime in and text me under this video once it's posted on my channel. If you got any questions that you want to ask, you know what I'm saying? If you have any questions that you want to ask, you know what I'm saying? Even furthermore into why I'm speaking the way I'm speaking in this video, then just text. Just text in the comment section, and I will be willing to facilitate your questions regarding that. Because this is definitely not a safe place for black people to be. And this is and people in the media, you know what I'm saying, need to even as well as social media, especially need to have more access, and also to bringing this fact and putting it on the forefront. You know what I'm saying? Because when you don't hear nothing about states like this where racial injustices is going on, that mean that these people actually have a more free will hand at demonstrating their racism toward so-called people of color that look like myself whenever they get ready to. And it ain't a damn thing that's gonna happen or be said about it. You know what I'm saying? And they just recently declared racism, as I've talked about on other panels and platforms, as a mental health crisis right here in Lincoln, Nebraska. So that's for a reason. That is for a reason. Why would any city declare racism as a mental health crisis in their jurisdiction? That's for a reason. That is for a reason. That's just not something they just thought of. That's for a reason. And this is reason why I say that, and to be honest with you, I don't even try to talk to the local black people here. Cause they here every day. They go through it and they see it. And as a matter of fact, I watch or seen where other black people who have moved here from other states as well are no longer living here because they came here. First of all, I'm talking about those who came here searching for job opportunities that was told to them by relatives that was already here. They, you could come here and get a $10 or $15 hour an hour job or whatever, you'll be set. When they came here, they found out that wasn't the case. So, and plus to the fact that they saw all this discrimination here, they finally said to hell with it and got up out of Lincoln. And unfortunately for me, myself, I'm headed towards that same path route to get up out of Nebraska like they did, because it's nothing here for black people like that. And we came here, a lot of us who did, like I said, came here looking for opportunity. We realized at that point that we were being fed a lie, even if it was by our own relatives. by their own relatives that live here or have been here already. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, it's because everybody black, it's this false consensus that everybody black who comes through here is either running from the law in another state, or they're running from something else in another state, or they just come in here because they think it's more sweeter and they could get more of a free ride here to do whatever they do, whether it be criminal type stuff or whether it be just other type stuff, that they feel like they gonna freeload from here. But that's not the only type of blacks that's coming here to Nebraska either. So that negates that false consensus as well. You see what I'm saying? And you know, this is the reason why I'm saying that Nebraska as well, for that reason, along with the other reasons I've explained in this video, is not a safe state for black people to be in. And, with that said, because I got to go on with the rest of my evening, and, but with that said, I'm Audi 5000. Peace.